Yeah, moving on. Segues are weird. Here we are, guys. We're talking about Monday Night Raw, and overall, okay to good episode based on Raw's really low standard. And RK Bro, the most popular act in WWE right now, honestly, lost the tag titles shockingly to Chad Gable and Otis, known as Alpha Academy. And I won't blame anyone for not knowing that because they're not really pushed and they're kind of jobbers. And they've only won 2 matches in the past 2 weeks. And before that, they really haven't won since like spring of last year. So them being the ones to beat RK Bro makes no sense whatsoever. Randy Orton took the pin. That's interesting to note. I think that might lead into whatever story goes on in the future with RK Bro. Good for Chad Gable. Good for Otis. Weird that he didn't win the tag titles when he was part of Heavy Machinery and they were the most popular tag team in the company for a while. And Otis was by far just the most popular person in the company right before the pandemic. You know, everyone talks about feeling bad for Drew McIntyre not having his WrestleMania moment in front of fans. I feel bad for Otis, okay? Otis had a magical storyline that we'll never get like that again. And now he's shaved and he looks like he'd be on the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. It's weird.
Mandy's in NXT. He lost everything.
Everything's weird now. But James, you loved this. You're not paying attention, but that's okay. What do you think about RK Bro losing the tag titles?
I mean, I'm worried that the tag team will break up. I'm not ready for them to break up. I don't want them to break up. I think they're gonna break up. First and foremost, like you said, congratulations to Alpha Academy. Gable is one of their best talents that they just have never known what to do with. So I'm glad that he's at the very least wearing tag gold. And like you said, Otis, his peak, his rise is something that never got the attention it deserved just because there was no audience for it. You know, like it could have felt so much bigger, but we never really got to enjoy it. So this might not have been what we expected from him, but hey, good for him for finally winning some gold in WWE. But back to RK Bro, you know, if they are breaking up, which, you know, my magic WWE 8-ball is saying they probably will. I might be the minority here. I might be the only person who feels this way, but I want Riddle to be the one to turn heel. It's so predictable to see Randy turning heel on yet another tag partner that the idea that finally he's opened himself up to somebody, finally he found someone that he kind of respects in his own Randy Orton way. He gets then in turn screwed by his protege. I would love that. I would love that. And I think it would give Riddle, who is admittedly one of WWE's most popular talents right now, it would, I think, revitalize him a little bit and give him just something a little different and new to do. That said, if they do go the predictable way of Riddle being the baby and Randy turning heel again, I think it's just going to boost Riddle's popularity even more. So I think no matter what they do moving forward, Riddle is going to come out looking pretty good. But who knows? Randy loves to win at WrestleMania. So maybe Riddle will get screwed like Bray before him.
See, I think if Riddle turned heel, that would be really bad really fast. I think the second the Orton feud ends, he does nothing and becomes nothing. Whereas if he's the face, there's some big things, you know. There's this guy, Nick. He's kind of part of this podcast. You probably don't believe me, but I swear to God, he's been here before. He wants Riddle to win the Rumble. He wants Riddle to main event WrestleMania and go for the title. And Riddle's only chance of doing that is as a face and launching off the back of this feud. He's not going to win it this year, but if he beats Randy at WrestleMania, I think he becomes a title contender around SummerSlam, and there's something there. Now, Rev, you famously love Raw and everything about it, so much so that you really needed to distance yourself from it. So I'm not sure how much of this you've seen lately. I know you didn't see this match, but you heard the results. How do you feel from your outside perspective right now about RK Bro losing the tag titles, and what do you think is going to happen with them?
What I need to do is distance myself from the segment after that start. So when I saw this on Squared Circle, and I was like, that's weird. And then I saw that Alpha Academy hadn't won in weeks, and now all of a sudden they're tag champs. And to me, it's just another WWE poor booking thing. It's just like there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just happened. And it's just because they want to do something else with Riddle and Orton, and they need to just get the titles off of them. And they're just like, all right. And they basically picked two people out of a hat, and now they're tag champs. I'm happy for Gable and Otis. I liked Gable back in American Alpha, and I like Otis back in Heavy Machinery. And it's nice to see them both have titles. I really, Gable put something on Twitter that was really like sweet and heartfelt and emotional about them knowing each other for a long time from being in US wrestling for the Olympics and training and stuff. So I'm really happy for them that they got this title win together. It's really cool. I don't know what it means for them. I mean, knowing WWE, they could hotshot the title next week. Who knows? But I think obviously the bigger thing here is now, as James said, that Randy and Riddle don't have the titles. They can do whatever they want with them, including turning one or the other. I do like James's idea. That you turn Riddle heel. I think that'd be a fresh idea. I don't think he's really been heel, maybe I think since like NXT, and even then it wasn't like super heel. He was just kind of like badass. So I don't know. It'd be an interesting take on this character. I think the only person Riddle's ever been heel to is Dana White. So that's some real inside baseball there. So, oh yeah, I guess Goldberg too. But we'll see. I'll always love Randy, and I'll always like Riddle. So hopefully they do right by both of them, and we get a good feud out of this, whichever way it goes. But I have no faith in that because WWE. So.
And that's very, very fair of you. Fun fact, the past 2 times Randy Orton's been a tag champion, Gable was the one to take it off of him. So, there's that. Alpha Academy beat Orton and Bray for the tag titles back.
You did it this time. You said Alpha Academy.
American Alpha beat the Wyatt family. Yeah, it's possible. I started thinking about it now after Rev said it. I'm like, it's interchangeable. But
I guess all sorts of fucked up.
This
is what happens when I come back after 3 weeks.
It's all right. These things happen. It's no big deal. But I think it's nice that Otis and Gable have something, but I think it's a good indictment on the tag titles because you just took them off of your most over acts, your top merch sellers, or at least top 2 merch sellers, and you put it on a nothing team that won't be a team a year from now. Granted, RK Bro won't be a team a year from now, which is, the WWE style, but it's a downgrade for the titles that were already nothing titles, but at least they were on the most popular act for a while. So now they've just now the tag titles won't be on WrestleMania if they're not on RK Bro. Then that's that. Like the Usos maybe, the SmackDown tag titles might be, but even it's becoming less and less important that they're tag champions and they're just there to get beat up by whoever Roman's feuding with at this point. So it's like 50-50 on those. So now the Raw tag titles have no chance where I was guessing, I think a lot of people were guessing that it might be like RK Bro versus Seth and Kevin Owens, because they're kind of a makeshift tag team right now, and they're, those are all big names for a match at Mania. You get 4 people in one match, and that works out. But now that that's not happening, maybe now I'm gonna start, making some theories up and saying that maybe that means that Seth and Kevin won't be in a tag match at Mania. Maybe Seth is gonna win a world title and defend that against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, and maybe now it gives a small amount of credence to theories that still don't have a lot of weight to hold. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, guarantee they're not, Otis and Gable aren't on TV 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. See, I think my biggest problem with this title change is just the lack of build to it. Like, I understand the occasional surprise title change, but WWE doesn't use their titles like properly for me as like a plot device. Because I mean, if you compare this to, say, I know this is like a serious gulf here, but the way they use the tag titles, what AEW did with Kenny and Hangman, versus the way you're using the tag titles with Riddle and Orton, are 2 completely different things. Like, they used this title to build the tag titles AEW did to build that feud all the way up to the point where they lost it. For Orton and Riddle, them losing it is just going to build the feud, is the feud. That's it. It's just a real, quick thing instead of a nice, slow build. And I think part of that is just due to the fact that Vince hates tag teams, reportedly, and they just booked that entire division terribly. And I think part of that is that those titles mean nothing now. They mean nothing, especially the Raw ones. At least SmackDown has the Usos, and they're running with Roman, so it means a little bit more because it's the whole bloodline thing. And occasionally New Day gets them, and they mean something because New Day is one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Other than that, those tag titles mean jack shit. So just the combination of all that just makes this tag team championship turnover just dumb, And I feel bad saying that because, like I said before, I like Gable, I like Otis, but just almost any time these titles change hands, it means nothing except just to get them off a team they're trying to split up.
Yeah, and they could have put him on, an actual tag team, and no offense to Otis and Gable, but they could have put it on the Street Profits, a team that's over, and yeah, they've had it before, but I don't like the idea of one and done for all these other tag teams because, they ever break up the Street Profits, Dawkins is not going to last very long.
I don't know if either of them would. I mean, I love both of them. But
no, Montez Ford. Yeah, he is that
guy,
star, bro.
That guy is all respect to Dawkins. I think we're all just sort of waiting for Montez to just Shawn Michaels his way into the title scene, and Dawkins to Jannetty.
In the title scene one day.
Absolutely.
He is that charismatic. And also,
good.
They did a really good job of establishing the Street Profits as an act. People might have complained at the time, why are these guys just recapping Raw week after week after week after week for so long? But when they had their first match, it was a big deal, and it felt like a big deal, and it main evented Raw, and they've been over as hell ever since. And they have really catchy music. I actually really like their intro music.
You know who else you could have put it on? If you kept the Hurt Business together, you could have put it on them, and then you have two. You have two tags.
We're way too far past that. That's.
Didn't they just break them up again? Weren't they?
They were never gotten back together.
Oh,
they were gaslighting you. That's not real.
Okay. That's probably true.
Nick, in a literal sense, yes, they were back, but in also a more literal sense, were they back? Because they didn't do anything. They showed up that one night, said we're Hurt Business again, and then I don't think they were ever on TV again. I might be wrong, but I don't think they were.
Imagine if they were, and imagine they had the titles, and Bobby's going to face Brock. That would have been a way better storyline. But again, the tag team storylines don't matter, so because the titles don't matter, so who cares?